That I'd like to introduce a man who has survived this aggressive disease for nearly 11 years, including 2 Whipple procedures. Here to tell his story and what this event means for patients and survivors, please join me in welcoming Stan Vitikas.
Thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. Where'd Maddie go? She left. You know, it's tough coming up stage and having your face on HD when you follow the most beautiful woman in the room, Maddie. First of all, thank you, Derek, for that kind introduction and for being here for this event. I really appreciate that, and congrats on a great season thus far for the D-backs. I love it. I'm a big D-back fan. I'm still hoping for a Cleveland, Arizona World Series, and you know who I'm rooting for. Yes, so would I. And, you know, I want to thank everyone for being here. There's a lot of places you could be tonight, but you're here, and I know that the donation and everything else to be here is very kind and very substantial, so I appreciate it. And Roger and Liz, you know, I see Liz in the back. Roger, I think, is right there. You know, we've thanked them a lot tonight, but I think nobody quite can understand and comprehend all that they do. It's an amazing amount of passion and dedication to this thing, and it's why I'm inspired to do this, truthfully, because of what they do, so thank you. I want to share a few brief stories with you, and I'm pretty sure I'll get emotional, so I apologize in advance. It's not because, I think it's because, you know, I'm alive for 11 years now, and sometimes you wonder why that is and why I got lucky, but you know, I did get lucky. My tumor was discovered early. It was really an accident. I went to a physical, and one thing led to another. I had a CT scan and eventually had a Whipple surgery. And even though my margins were negative and my lymph nodes were negative, I still had a 2/3 chance of dying within 5 years. So that's how bad this disease is. And even my oncologist, who I coined Dr. Death, would always say to me, oh, well, it always comes back, but we'll treat it when it does. Fortunately, knock on wood, it did not come back, and here I am. He was wrong. Thank you. This isn't about me. I'm fine. Sure, I have digestive issues, and I'm a little thinner in the face and neck, and I have a lot of stomach spasms and inconveniences like that, but probably so do a lot of you. I'll live. But facing the possibility of death does change you, I can say that. So please allow me to share a few things I've learned these past 10 years. The first thing I did was I volunteered with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, really a wonderful organization doing great things devoted to change the course of this disease, and I became an advocacy coordinator for the state of Arizona, and we marched on Capitol Hill a couple times, and I was fortunate enough to meet with Senators McCain and Kyle and Flake and a few local congressmen to lobby for more federal funding. And for the most part, we were turned down, I mean, kindly turned down, but it was kind of like, if we give it to you, we have to give it to everybody. So there's a couple things I learned. One is that getting money is not easy, okay? It's not easy getting money. There's nobody out there just handing it out. But I also learned that cures follow money, okay? Cures follow money, that's how it works. And by cures, I mean treatment breakthroughs, early detection methods, increased survival rates. Let me share a few examples. Hopefully I'm not the only old one in the room who can remember the March of Dimes campaign, initiated in 1945 by President Roosevelt, who of course had polio as a child. That initiative raised $19 million, one dime at a time, and within 10 years, Jonas Salk had the vaccine for polio, and the disease was largely eradicated. So if you think one small donation doesn't matter, you're wrong. Diseases aren't solved without the power of money, one dime at a time. The AIDS HIV outbreak in the 1980s, once it became an epidemic, the federal government and the Centers for Disease Control just threw money at it, and within 10 years there was a treatment vaccine for that, and it's no longer a fatal disease. Breast cancer. If any of you have ever been to a Susan G. Komen Foundation race, you understand the power of numbers. I mean, you got 20,000 people out there wearing pink shirts, and wow, I mean, they're all survivors, or they're friends of survivors, right? We don't have that. And as a result of that, the federal government has committed some $10 billion since 2000 to breast cancer. And not coincidentally, the 5-year survival rate for breast cancer now is 91%, which is amazing, right? Cures follow money, but it isn't easy. It takes the persistence and hard work of thousands of dedicated individuals and money. I attended my first Seena Magowitz Foundation Golf Classic in Scottsdale 6 or 7 years ago, and I met one of those dedicated individuals, Roger. And I first heard his words, "If not me, then who?" And wow, did that ever resonate with me. I mean, I had survived this thing. I was one of the lucky 7%. And I thought, wow, if not me, then my God, who could I ask to go do this, right? Who could I ask to raise money? Who could I ask to donate? And so began my fundraising for Roger, and it was pretty paltry at first. I think that first year I might have given him $4,000 and had a couple of foursomes play golf. But this year I was able to raise $29,000, and thank you. For a total of about $70,000 in these last 3 years. And, is $70,000 going to change the course of a disease? Of course not. But how about 70 times 70,000, right? That's $5 million. That might move the needle for Dan. And that's how progress happens, one donor at a time. There's no magic bullet here. If this was easy, we wouldn't be here tonight, right? And we wouldn't have this incredibly dedicated and professional team of medical doctors and oncologists working on this, right? We'd already have a solution. But cures follow money. Fundraising isn't easy. You have to ask people for money, which is uncomfortable. Well, you know what's really uncomfortable? Whipple surgeries. And yeah, because I've had 2, and chemo treatments. Chemo treatments are uncomfortable. So you got to put this stuff in perspective. Asking people for money, folks, is a walk in the park, okay? You ask people for money. I mean, this stuff tonight, all the people in this room, all these sponsors, all of this stuff is because that guy asked. He asked you. That's how this all happened. He asked, and you said yes. You'll be surprised at how many people say yes. You know why? Because they get it. They understand. So focus on those people. Some people are going to say, no, I got some members of my family, best friends, don't give me a dime. But you know what? You move on to the next person and the next person. This year I had 70 donors, and every single donor this year was a repeat donor from last year, and I added 30 more. And next year I'm going to raise $35,000. I don't know exactly how, but I'll figure it out. And I got like a third of that donation came from corporate sponsors, Intel, Texas Instruments, Microsoft, all matched donations, right? So I'm going to find some more. And you know what else? This is the thing. Roger calls every one of them. He picks up the phone and calls every one of my donors. I mean, who does that? I mean, I can't tell you how many people have said to me, geez, I got a call from Roger. Thank you for my $100 donation. Count me in for $200 next year. And that's how you get repeat donors. I mean, this guy cares about this stuff. He pours his heart and soul into it because it's not easy. And you know how many paid employees there are in the Seena Foundation? 0. Overhead fees, 0. Dollars taken out of donations to fund, duck tours and things like that. You guessed it, 0. That matters to me, and I hope it matters to you too. This is going to be difficult, but I have this book. I got this book in the mail last September from Dr. Jill, and with a handwritten note inside, and my guess is she sent it to all the survivors. Hell, knowing Jill, she probably sent it to everybody who was here last year to inspire us in our journey. And then Roger contacted me early this year to tell me that we lost Jill. I didn't know Jill well, but like most of you, I listened to her story last year. Wow, I mean, about her 3 kids, it broke my heart. And I think that What Jill wanted from us, why she spoke, why she sent these books, and the handwritten note was to choose to fight weary. That's what she said in here. Choose to fight weary. And I know that you out there who are battling stage 4 pancreatic cancer, you have no choice. You're fighting weary. But anyone in this room, any one of you, could be diagnosed this year, next year with pancreas cancer. And in that moment, all of a sudden, all of this, all of what Roger's done will mean something vastly different to you. Trust me. And I think that what Jill wanted was for all of us to fight weary without having to be diagnosed. You know, the late great entertainer Danny Thomas took it upon himself to found St. Jude Children's Hospital in the 1950s so that, in his words, no child should ever die in the dawn of life. At that time, the survival rate for the most common form of childhood leukemia was 4%. But to one man, that was not acceptable. Today, some 60 years later, there are now 10 million donors to St. Jude. 10 million. That raise hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And I thought to myself, because of what one man started, and I realize Roger's not the most limber man in the room, but I bet you if we got him 10,000 donors, he would do a backflip next year, somehow or other. And I will help him do it. And oh, by the way, the survival rate for that worst and most common form of childhood leukemia today, 94%. Why? Because cures follow money. But it took years and painstaking research. It wasn't easy. A friend once asked Danny Thomas, how do you do it? How do you ask people for money? And Thomas replied simply, just ask proudly, because the cause is so worthy. Wow, just ask proudly. And for anyone who's had that sick child, you're like, thank God somebody made this happen. And I would say this is the thing. For pancreas cancer, that someone is you. You are in this room. You are part of this event. You've heard the stories. You know the statistics. You work in an industry that's committed to this with CEOs that are donating funds, battling hard. You know this man who's dedicated the better part of 2 decades of his life fighting this for his mom. You know about Dr. Von Hoff and his medical team. I mean, folks, this isn't just your average everyday cancer doctor. This is the best pancreas cancer doctor in the world. In the world. And every dollar you donate goes to him. And with all due respect to Dan, he's not a young man, right? He's 71 years old. Let's help him cure this before it's too late, all right? And I should mention Dr. Hahn and Dr. Borzanski and Joyce and Lana and this incredible team of medical professionals. And if you were here last year, of course, you met Jill and Phil, who aren't with us anymore. Folks, this is not easy. It's not easy. It's a really brutal and difficult fight against a horrible disease. And it's, if not me, if not you, no one's going to do this. So here's how you can help us. Do what I do. Ask people for money. Okay? You guys have all generated, you've donated generously, and I appreciate that, probably beyond anything I can imagine, and you're sponsoring all these things, but, you know, you can ask others. I got 70 people that donate, and I'm going to get 100 next year, and if 50 of you could do that, that would be, you know what, 5,000, 50,000 donors, and Roger would be doing backflips, okay? So that's in it for you. So here's the deal. We're going to pass around some clipboards with a sign-up sheet on it. And, you know, this is the 16th annual Seena Magowitz Foundation, and I'm going to ask at least 16 people, please sign up. All I'm asking you to do, put your name on that sheet, your email address, your phone number. I'll contact you next June. I'll explain to you how I do it. I'll send you my email. You can articulate your own story. You can do it in the name of someone you know who's been lost. You can do it for Dr. Jill and her kids so no one else has to go through this again. But, if you ask other people for money, in a couple years you'll be raising $29,000 like me, and pretty soon Roger and Dan will have too damn much money to know what to do with. That's what we got to do. So please, anybody, if you're willing, I'm not getting off this stage till I get at least 16 signatures, so please raise your hand and sign that sheet. They're going to be passed around. There's clipboards, name, email address, phone number. I'll help you, and Liz will get you set up with a email donor link. All people have to do is click and donate. All you have to do is ask proudly. Go through your phone, look through your email list. I went through my phone and added 30 more people this year. I'm saying, heck, I haven't talked to him in a while, but and this guy I went to college with, and I sent him a note, and he said, we just lost someone in our neighborhood from pancreas cancer. This is my way to help. And, I've got 6 people now who donate $1,000 each every year. And it's amazing the power in numbers. So please, those sheets are being passed around. Put your hand up, someone will bring it to you, and they can sign up, okay? And thank you very much for all your help in advance.